Hey, what's up? We are here. We are live. No, we're
Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey.
Stutter, my brother, what's happening?
Hey, fantasy, in session. We talking touchdowns, receptions, interceptions.
We got a band to kick it.
As you see, we
I
are
just
here.
can't help but singing the song every time.
I love it.
Hey people, hi people. Fantasy in session here. I am Dweeze Nuts. I know I've been gone for a week. You probably forgot, but here we are, back with your boy Javar. How we doing, Javar?
I see we doing fine. Nothing special about the day. Nothing
Normal fucking
sporty
day.
about the day. Hey, man, we're here.
Is a normal fuck. It's not a totally normal day because it is waiver day, right?
Right.
It's one of the last days that people can make trades in a lot of leagues, as week 12 is sort of the trade deadline. I think standard, the default trade deadline in a lot of leagues. So we got a lot of shit to talk about today to make sure people set themselves up for the playoffs or set themselves up for that playoff run. Because, like, in my home league, there's one team that's locked up a playoff spot, one team that's definitely not getting in, and everybody else is within like a game of each other. So, like, you've gotta win now.
That's where I'm at in one of my leagues. I'm like, I just one of them I don't have my first. I play a lot of dynasty, so one of them I don't have my first. So I'm not trying to lose out there. I don't care what happens. I'm trying to win, and I still got a slim chance of making a playoff if certain people lose. And I'm playing the people in front of me. So certain people lose, I can. It's a wild there. In the other league, I'm right there between. I have my first. I'm like, do I try to go for it because I possibly could get in if something happened, or should I just tank and get a top 3 pick? This is a 1 quarterback league, so you need like a top 5 pick to get that guy.
Always win. Always win when you can. And if you're playing the guy ahead of you, that's your destiny in your hands, man. That's all you can ask for.
Right. So when do you stop winning? So like a guy, he trying to sell like everybody on this team just to get people to compete. So he trying to sell like Kamara. He'll even take like a notch down, a step down on the player. He'll even take a little something off and you get a discount. Like, are you there with it, or do you just stick with your stud? Sometimes you I gotta ride it out.
I have never liked that strategy to sell the farm. However, like, I understand its place in dynasty leagues. The way that I approach that in my dynasty leagues is if before the season happens, if my team looks like shit, that's when I make that decision. I don't wait until mid-year. If we're mid-year and I'm losing, I'm doing everything I can to win, to ruin people's seasons above me. If it's a legitimate rebuild year, I make that decision ahead of time for a couple of reasons. One, because draft picks for a year down the line are a lot cheaper before the season starts. So if you're trading for a 2022 draft pick, it's cheaper to do that before the 2021 season kicks off. So I want best value on those trades. But two, because, man, once it gets started, like, I'm an emotional man. I can't throw it in after I've already decided I want to win some games. That ain't happening. There's pride on the line, baby. If you say it out loud to the world before the season starts that you ain't gonna win, that's one thing. But there's some pride on the line once the season starts, and you gotta you just gotta win.
You gotta win, man. Make sure you like, subscribe our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 200 subs. Fire content always coming through. So I guess we can just kick the thing off with some news that people can use.
Yeah. First of all, it's my birthday. I noticed that you didn't say anything.
I thought you celebrated 40-hour work weeks, man. So I was like, my guy, I understand.
Dedicated to the work, grind all day. No, it's my 40th birthday today. It's very special. I got a really obnoxious hat on that I'm going to try to take off here. But I'm leaving the fucking glasses. For my 40th birthday present in my home league, I lost. I wake up this morning and check the score. lost by 1/2 a point. That's my first gift this morning. I fucking had Mike Evans, my opponent, at the Tampa Bay defense, and I lost by 1/2 of a fucking point because they pulled all the starters out in the fourth quarter. It's a 1/2 point PPR league. So one more catch, and I would have tied. Like one more catch and like 5 more yards, I'd have won the game.
You were not alone. I have Godwin. All I needed was one catch. He didn't even have to get a yard. All I needed was one catch from Godwin, and out of one, and basically been locked up in second place in this league. You know, nice. Now I'm locked. Now I'm in like 5th place because I lost because of 0.5, and the Giants couldn't do anything. It's so you're not alone. I understand. Happy birthday to you. You know, welcome to 40. You feel good. You're looking good. So, you know, I look forward to my 40th too, man. But it's your day. Like you know, I hope
18 years away, you get to turn 40.
Nah, I'm like 3 years away. I'm out here. Like
it's a beautiful thing. 40 years of life. I finished 40 fucking years on this planet. You know what? People would have bet the under as a young man. People would have bet the under watching the way that I behaved as a young man. Love to jump off of roofs as a young man. So I'll take it as a win, man. From here on out, I'm playing with house money. Let's go.
That's lovely. That's lovely. So what I heard now, I heard from a radio host on the radio. I think he said once you're like in 40, you're entering that third quarter or you're mid third quarter. Don't do anything that would mess up your fourth quarter. So that's how you put it. Don't do too much to mess up that fourth quarter because that fourth quarter, that's where you're gonna have. You know, a lot of fruits of your labor, and you'll be able to, you know, kids to be gone.
Man. I say live every day like it's your damn last play. The third quarter happens to be the highest scoring quarter in most football games over the course of history. I'm going for the fucking goal. I'm trying to score some points here. I'm putting them on the board. Third quarter, run away with it so that I can fucking lay down in the fourth quarter and, you know, take a kneel off. Head off the field into the glorious sunlight, whatever. Hey, can we get into the news? My fucking kids are coming home from school in like 20 minutes. I gotta get into the news.
No breaks. Yeah, let's get to the news because it's a turn-up day for y'all.
News you can use. Here we go. Okay, let's start with my Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, bruised ribs, out, left the game last week. Andy Dalton came in through a couple of touchdown passes. One of them was no fault of his own. Darnell Mooney taking that screen pass to the house. But Dalton is going to start Thanksgiving Day. That's the Detroit Lions. So, you know, if you can get yourself some Andy Dalton, I love everything about it. I love everything about them Bears this week. But it's not Fields, so make sure that you know that. If you're starting Fields anyway, you're probably hurting at this point in the season.
And he was coming along. He was coming along with the Russian floor that was helping out. So it was trending upward. But yeah.
He's just not ready to play yet. Next year, maybe. If you have him in a dynasty, fine. Otherwise, he shouldn't be on field.
Shout out to Darnell Mooney.
Hey now. Hey, two guys that we've talked about on this show quite a lot. Injury news pops up for them. Both Michael Carter of the New York Jets out 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle issue. That is a real shame. This kid was looking really good. And as bad as the Jets are, that offense was producing some fantasy numbers, and we'll talk a little bit about another guy on that offense later in the show. Another really bad offense, Jamal Agnew is a guy that I've mentioned several times on the show, out for the rest of the season with a hip injury. Real shame because it always felt like, you know, he was bound to have a 160-yard, 2-touchdown game at some point. He was going to stumble into it as electric as he was, but he's out, so drop him everywhere, drop him in Dynasty. Next year, he's not going to be a thing on this team. Next year, that role will be going to your boy Travis Etienne. So move on from him, unfortunately. A couple other injuries, some big-name injuries to watch out for. CeeDee Lamb going to miss the Thanksgiving game for Dallas.
I read he might be back, so it's a little possibility, but...
No, he might be back for Week 13.
Oh, okay.
There's a possibility he plays in Week 13. They immediately listed him as out for Week 12 this week because it's a Thursday game short week. But it was a very bad concussion, a grade 3 concussion. So he might be back for Week 13. It's an interesting piece of news because, one, obviously you got to look elsewhere. Maybe some other guys on this team are going to step up. Maybe Michael Gallup's going to get his chance. He played in full this past week. Maybe it's Amari Cooper, maybe who knows. But we're going to bring this guy's name up again in the show later on because I have some advice. How about A.J. Brown? Got a chest injury, left the game. Negative X-rays on the first go. He's going to get a second opinion, have another look at it. But keep an eye on this. If you're counting on A.J. Brown, he may miss some time. He may be back pretty quickly. We have no idea at this point. It might just be a pain management thing for this guy come the weekend. So keep an eye on it, but be prepared with a plan B for your wide receiver 2 spot, for that big and high ceiling spot if you can. Plan elsewhere, and if he's back, cool, slot him in. But if don't plan on it.
So if he missed some time, Julio may be back. How do you feel about it's Julio? Do you feel if A.J. Brown is not out there and Julio come back, you feel like Julio is a must start?
It is hard to say anybody on that offense is a must start right now, man. Right. They don't look good. And Julio's just not. I mean, Julio is older than me. I don't know if he's older than me. Is he older than me? Is he 40? He ain't 40. No way, he's 40. 37, something. No, I wouldn't play Julio. I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't touch really anybody on this team right now. A.J. Brown's the only one. Tannehill's been letting me down everywhere I own him over the past couple of weeks. So stay away if you can, I think. I don't even know who they have this weekend, and it doesn't fucking matter.
I got you. I picked up Julio off the waivers. I got Calvin Ridley sitting in IR right now, so I'll take a flyer, see what he's going to do.
I mean, if you're desperate, I think the answer you wanted was yes. So if you're desperate, go ahead. Go ahead, Jamal.
The answer you wanted, yes.
I'm not going to stop you.
Look, I practiced this with my wife. The answer you want, yes.
Yeah. If you want to hear yes, I'll give you a yes.
I am desperate. I picked up Will Fuller, too, so I am desperate in that league, yeah.
I'd probably play Julio over, or I don't even know if Fuller's even on the field. Yeah, Jesus. Right. I've written that guy off completely. Doesn't exist in my mind. Last piece of news here isn't really injury related. Isn't really related to anything except for, a couple guys got paid, man. Cortland Sutton, 4 years, $60 million. Tim Patrick just got signed to a big deal as well on this team. So good for these young kids getting paid. Like to see it. The only really fantasy implication here is that, we've seen Cortland Sutton have some success on this team. I think some stability is going to be a good thing for him. He hasn't played a full season yet. So maybe moving into next year, have an off season to work with the team. Who knows who the fucking quarterback's going to be. But I like the stability for Cortland Sutton, who, in the next couple of years could return big dividends now that he knows he's safe, comfortable, and he's getting paid.
I mean, if that quarterback situation can step up some, we'll see. It's wild.
That's it for the news, man. It's time to get into the waiver wire free agent shit because people have to put this shit in today. I'm going to go let my dog out, and I'll be right back. Entertain the people, Javar. So, you know what? Make plans with the people for my surprise party. I'll be back in a moment.
All right, so Dweeze is taking a break. You dig? He will be back in a moment. His glasses are kind of giving me like some Prince, Elton John type vibes. I feel like he's going to come out and just bust the routine any moment now. But I don't want to spoil his waiver guys. But
you couldn't spoil my waiver guys if you wanted to, man. Got the research chops I've got. Come on.
Came back real quick. Yeah, I told the people you're giving me some Elton John and Prince vibes over here.
Woo!
Yeah,
I'll take Sir Elton, man. He is a role model, man. If you could fucking walk around dressed like that dude and still get respect, he's doing something right. Prince dead, so that ain't my speed. I'm gonna live for a long time. All right, let's get into waiver ads. Okay, I got a couple of running backs for you, a handful of wide receivers, even a couple of tight ends that I want to get you guys with this week. Not a huge week, right? The last time I was here, a couple of weeks ago, really sort of a disappointing waiver wire week. Not a huge week this week. Not a ton of big stud names. You're probably not going to win your week on the waiver wire this week, but you can set yourself up for the next few weeks. Maybe buy a win or two and get yourself prepared for those fantasy playoffs. First running back I'm going to hit you with, it is Romandre Stevenson. Okay, we saw what happened when Damian Harris was out of the game. He stepped in a couple of weeks ago and had just a monster day. And then the big question when Harris came back was, what's going to happen? Stevenson looked good in the week prior when Damian Harris was there as well. We wanted to know if Stevenson was going to get any work with Harris back. And to be honest, all the running backs in this backfield looked absolutely amazing on the field this past week. Got 12 carries, did Romandre Stevenson. He got a target in the passing game, which really isn't something we necessarily expect from him. But 12 carries is really promising, even in that Damian Harris return. I think he's solidified himself a role on this team. It's a team that's playing well, running the ball really well. Look, 3 weeks in a row, double-digit carries for him and at least 60 yards on the ground. Again, not going to win you your week, but somebody who should be on your roster and is flexible in the right spots, I think. In the last 6 games that he's played, he's had double-digit touches in 4 of those games, and he had 8 and 9 in the 2 games. He didn't have those double-digit touches. 13 touches led the team this past week. Harris had 11. I know it was his return, but it was a return from concussion. So if he's there, and he's healthy. I think he's just fine. Played 34% of the snaps to Harris's 39% of the snaps. It's going to be a 50-50 backfield split. And a guy that's 58% owned on a pretty good offense, as it turns out, with a pretty good quarterback and a pretty good run game. That's a guy you want to own, not only because maybe Harris gets hurt again and then there you go, you have a huge opportunity, but he's a guy that you can slide in and maybe buy a few points, give yourselves a decent little floor for somebody that's going to touch the ball, 10 to 12 times in a game. How you like Romandre?
I like him, man, especially as a flex play. He's eating at some of the work. Just the last 2 games, that was working Harris back, and then you had the Thursday night game as well. You know how a lot of teams do. They split up a lot more touches than they would on a Thursday night game. So this week, I'm really interested to see how the work gets split up. If it's still split up how it is, Stevenson will be a decent flex play moving down the stretch, especially the way the defense is playing and the offense wants to run the football. Both would be Harris and Stevenson will be decent flex
and
plays.
You definitely yes. Wait, if you pick him up and put him on your roster, don't play him this week necessarily. Let's give it one more week. Let's see it happen again. I really want to see that pattern. It does look like it's coming to fruition the way we would like it to for a split backfield. But what you don't want to do is wait to pick him up until after next week. If he goes another 12 touches, you're going to pay way more for him than you would have otherwise. Do it now. Harris had a nice game, so people may be off of Stevenson a little bit. Like I said, 58% owned. Go take a look. Go pick him up. How about a guy that's next to 0% owned? Again, probably more of a desperation play here than anything. But with the news about Michael Carter going out, I think Ty Johnson all of a sudden becomes a little bit interesting. Now, to be clear, Tevin Coleman came in and did, had the bulk of the carries after Carter got injured in that game. Coleman's been sort of the guy that's came in and actually run the ball. I don't think Ty Johnson has more than 2 carries in a game on the season thus far. But Tevin Coleman's fucking garbage. So go get Ty Johnson. He's sort of been the pass catching back. Couple of games, 5-6 catches in a game. So that's nice. He's also been the guy they go to when they get near the goal line all season long. And he's been the 2-minute drill running back all year long. So I feel like there's a lot of needles pointing to Ty Johnson getting a lot more work while Michael Carter is out. So go ahead, pick him up. Really juicy matchup this week against Houston. I think you can flex him immediately. I don't think you have to wait to see what's going to happen because it's just not Tevin Coleman. There's just no way Tevin Coleman's going to be the guy, especially on those passing downs. I wouldn't be surprised if Ty Johnson ends up, probably 8, 9, maybe 10 carries, but another 5 or 6 targets and an opportunity for a score in this one. I think he's gonna be a nice surprise. Certainly a daily play if you're trying to steal some points in a daily as well. Ty Johnson, are you any love for Tevin Coleman in here, or are you on board with the Ty Johnson train?
I'm a Falcons fan. We drafted a guy. No love for Tevin Coleman at this point in his career. He has to be on an offense that has a good offensive line that clears the lane for him to run through. Ty Johnson is the guy you want for the next 2 weeks. As you mentioned, he gets all the reception yards, and the Jets damn near every game are lined up to be playing from behind. So Ty Johnson is another guy you can play in your flex weekly now with Carter out.
One of those examples we said earlier, Ty Johnson might be a guy that gets you into your fantasy playoffs over the next 2 weeks, gets you maybe 2 wins out of the next 3 weeks to put you over the hump to get you in the playoffs. So
right.
not a really Not a sexy name, but yeah, man, go for it.
Especially if you're missing running backs people hurt, such as Aaron Jones, who's not back yet. And even if you get a chance to pick up Ty Johnson as you lost Michael Carter, you still be in good position. He should give you a decent 10-point floor in PPR.
Just fine. Let's do wide receivers. I have 4 for you. And now here's some guys that might actually win you weeks, some guys that you can put on your roster now. And they might win you your championship, to be honest. I've got 2 names. You said one of them already. It's Darnell Mooney. 58% owned. He is available. He's sort of been picked up and dropped all season long across most leagues. 16 fucking targets last week, though. 16 targets. And when Andy Dalton came in, he was looking at him. Maybe not downfield like we'd like, but he was looking at him. He scored in 3 of the last 5 games, 4 touchdowns over that 5-game stretch. We saw what he can do with the ball in his hands on that screen pass that he took to the house. And we know the coaching staff is calling plays to Mooney, has been all year long. I know Allen Robinson was out this last game, so some people are thinking, yes, 16 targets is a little inflated for what's going to happen moving forward, but it's not like he had 15. He only had 5 catches or some crazy number on the day. They're going to keep throwing it to him. He's been the one all year. Go ahead and get him. I've thought from day one that Andy Dalton was going to give this offense a better opportunity to score points. So with him out there at least this week, I think that's pretty good. And even when Fields comes back, he loves Mooney. Go pick him up, put him on your roster. He's going to be a fantasy playoff superstar, I think. Make that happen.
If Fields is out there, man, that is runaway robbery. I mean, not Fields. If Mooney is
money.
If Mooney is out there, man, that's a runaway robbery. Should have been grabbed this guy, but definitely.
The other guy, 57% owned, is probably, to me, more of a surprise at this point that he's available in so many leagues. It's Elijah Moore, New York Jets, stud rookie wide receiver, 11 targets on the week this past week. Since his bye, look, he had a bye in week 6, okay? Since his bye, he is the wide receiver 7. 350 yards receiving since that bye. That's 7th best in the league. 5 total touchdowns, 1 of them running, 4 of them through the air. Since his bye week is 2nd among wide receivers, only to Mike Evans. Elijah Moore is a stud. When Corey Davis went out with that initial injury, the whole team pivoted to Elijah Moore as their everything. Now with Michael Carter gone as well, I expect even more work to kind of shift over toward Elijah Moore as they look to him to be sort of the spark plug on every drive, which he has shown that he can be. Why is he available in 43% of leagues going into the playoffs, or at least near your fantasy playoffs?
I love it. Once Corey Davis came back and he out touched Corey Davis, it was just set in stone right there. If he out there on your team, if you using Fab, use all your Fab on this guy.
All your Fab on him. He's the guy. He is your winner. Championship MVP. Right. Absolutely.
I feel like he still got a game in there where he might throw a dud in there. Hopefully ain't in the playoffs. But he still got a game where he's going to get under 10 points. But with target share like that and Michael Carter out, this is a guy that can lead you to the playoffs. Get you there at least.
There is no wide receiver in the league that is impervious to a dud game. And I think Elijah Moore at this point is as likely as any of them to go off in most games. Go for it. All right, 2 wide receivers. These aren't necessarily league winners, but I think they're pieces that you can put onto your team and do some work with. One of them, Marquise Valdes-Scantling, MVS. I should have let you say that name. How do you say that name?
MVS.
Okay, you don't even try. That's really fucking amazing. I just love the way that you pronounce some of these people's names. It's fun to watch. D. Carter down in Washington. Anyway, look. Aaron Rodgers has always wanted MVS to be more than he is. Since the day he got there, Aaron Rodgers has wanted MVS to be the guy. He's thrown him the ball time and time again, despite the drops, despite the misreads on read routes, despite so many things that on the field make MVS an inferior wide receiver. But he doesn't care. He just keeps throwing it to him. Last week's a good example. 10 targets. He only caught 4 of them. Okay, like he's not a good wide receiver, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't care. Maybe we shouldn't care either. It only takes 1 catch for MVS, who is faster than everybody else on the field, to make your fantasy day. I think he's somebody you should own. Only 9% owned. Go pick him up. He's in the game. He's healthy. Aaron Rodgers getting at least a little healthier. He played through the toe injury this past week. If those two are on the field together, he's going to throw it at him. It's just a matter of whether the guy's going to catch it or not. But I think maybe we should just ignore his lack of talent and just put him on your roster.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Aaron Jones maybe add another week, so he still may get those targets this week. After that, the targets may go back down, and they may start back targeting Aaron Jones.
He needs one, baby. He needs one.
But I always want a piece of the offense just in case one of the other guys, one of the wide receiver, Alan Lazard, even if one of those wide receiver catch fire. So I understand the case. It's always targets out there to be had. But I don't know if I can feel comfortable starting yet, but I can stash him.
Pick him up and put him in. I'm calling it. Calling my shot on this one. Pick him up and fucking put him in. Another wide receiver that you can go pick up right now. That might be a nice piece for you. Probably not much more than that. It's Devonta Parker, Miami Dolphins, right? Like, if you saw the game this past week or any of the past handful of weeks, it's absolutely clear what this offense wants to do. Throw to Jalen Waddle, throw to Mike Gesicki, and he misses it. And that's all they have. Like, that's the only options. They are desperate for another option on this team. Devonta Parker should be back from injury this week. Maybe on a snap count. Maybe he'll be back in full next week. But somebody that you should pick up and keep on your roster, just because he's averaged wide receiver 2 numbers in targets, catches, yards in all the games that he has played this year. He's missed 2 stretches of time though. He's averaged wide receiver 1 target numbers with Tua when the two of them have been on the field. I think he steps back in. It gives them another element to the offense, and I think it'll help the entire offense to be more productive, score more points. And I think he'll get his catches moving forward rest of the season. Somebody that you should have on your roster, only 31% owned, easy to pick up. Not going to start him every week, but he should be on your roster.
Yeah, he definitely should be on your roster. I like him in D leagues as you can play him as flex play. According to matchups, Tua has been looking well. I don't understand all the backlash that Tua gets. He's been looking well, especially with the way Miami O-line plays. It's like a front door. Just come in and out as you want. But, so Tua's playing well and getting the ball to his playmakers. So, I like that ticket. Parker's out there. You definitely need to stash him. You never know when somebody in your team can go down, and Parker is a good 8-point play at least.
I mean this with absolutely no disrespect, Javar, but I'm going to take a moment to give you an English language lesson here because I'm a former English teacher and you're a professional orator, which means speaker to the people, in case you weren't aware. When you say he looks well, that means his eyes are working properly. You have to say that he looks good, brother, not well. Those are 2 different things. Let's focus up. Tight ends. There are 2 tight ends. I'm going to give you both of these names, and then I want you to tell me which one you would rather have on your team.
Session, face.
Look, man, I still have a little bit of teacher in me somewhere, okay? So it comes out. It comes out on occasion. I'm going to give you 2 tight ends. I'll tell you why I like them both, and then I want you to tell me which one you would rather spend your fab on this week and for the rest of this fantasy season, okay? So, first up, only 7% owned is Adam Trotman. Okay, young guy. He was sort of the hotness in the draft season, his rookie year last year and this year as well. He had 8 targets in this game, scored a touchdown in this game. But more importantly, over the last 4 weeks, he has 30 targets, which is 5th among tight ends, only behind Kelsey, Pitts, Andrews, and Gesicki, right? So those are all elite tight end names right now. And he's right there with them as far as target volume anyway, maybe not quality of targets, but he's getting the ball, which is all you can ask for from a tight end. He doesn't have the touchdown numbers as some of these other guys, but he's got the 5th most catches among the tight ends. He's got tight end 1 yardage numbers over the past 4 weeks. It really looks like he's starting to click with that offense with his quarterback, and could mean good things moving forward for a young guy that we've kind of been waiting for to really hit his stride. Maybe it's time. The other guy is sort of the opposite. Okay, not really a young guy anymore. Not really a tight end. It's Logan Thomas in Washington. Been injured for a while. Looks like he's coming back from injury. They're gonna activate him off of the IR this week. Doesn't mean he'll play this week, but he's got 3 weeks to get on the field. 21 days rather to get on the field. So you might miss a week. You might even miss 2 weeks if you pick him up and put him on your roster. But when he comes in, look, they were using him early on in this season. He was averaging 4 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown to start the year. He's a piece of that offense. They want to use him in that offense. We've seen that over the past couple of years with this coaching staff. So which of these two guys would you rather have? The young hotness he's hitting his stride right now and you can start playing immediately, or Logan Thomas who's a little more proven, but it may be a little bit before he's back to full form on the field?
Well, sorry to let you know, young hotness is out 4 to 6 weeks.
What?
Yep.
Did I miss that news?
Yep. So last week he had a injury, a sprained MCL, so he's out 4 to 6 weeks. But even before the sprained MCL, I would have went Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas has more upside and is a better play each week. Washington is dying for another receiving option in that offense. Curtis Samuels has been hurt all season. Ricky Seals-Jones, he was making moves when he was playing tight end, and then he got hurt. So this offense is dying for another receiving option. So as soon as Logan Thomas is on the field, he needs to be started everywhere. He needs to be picked up everywhere and rostered everywhere. Adam Trotman was making some ground movement with the new quarterback switch to Trevor. So I liked him as well as picking him up. And if
Trevor who?
He was Simeon.
Oh, you did it. There's a lot of extra letters. I thought you might make a mistake. Instant karma here, though. I correct your grammar and immediately say something really stupid about fantasy football. This is a fantasy football show. I'm sorry that I missed the Adam Trotman news. I wish you'd have fucking hit me with it at the beginning of the show when we were talking about news and injuries.
I forgot. And then when you brought him up, I was like, wait, I read it because I was thinking about picking him up in the league and I read it. So, yeah, unfortunately. Right. But, yeah, if he's out there in Dynasty, which he's probably not, you definitely go pick him up. If somebody dropping, you should pick him up. He was starting to make way. You know, tight ends take a minute, and he's been a prime prospect. So, yeah.
Yep. Let's pivot really quickly so that I can get away from this embarrassing moment. Trade targets. Again, this is the last week for a lot of leagues that you can make a trade. So if you're going to do it, now's the time to make your move, make your push for those playoffs. I'm going to give you 4 names, and then I also want to go ahead. I teased this a few weeks ago, but I want to preview the fantasy playoff schedules and tell you which teams or which position groups have a nice, easy road versus a tough road that maybe you should be targeting or looking to move. But first of all, individual player trade targets. I think Kareem Hunt for me has to be one. Been on the IR for a while. Probably going to come back over the next couple of weeks and get back on that field. Nothing has slipped on this Cleveland rush game. The whole team as a whole, the offense as a whole does not look good, but that rush game looks as good as ever. And I think when Kareem Hunt does come back, he'll step right into the same role and same level of production that he had previously. I love Kareem Hunt. Face punt aside, I think he's a fabulous football player. And if you can get him now, I mean, it's been a while since he's been on the field. Test the water, see what you can do there. Another running back I want to mention before I throw it over to you, Javar, Antonio Gibson. Now, I know Antonio Gibson is sort of – people are either a little bit warm on him or very cold on him and trying to move him. I think you can buy Antonio Gibson really cheap right now, and I like some of what he's got going forward rest of the season schedule-wise. I liked what I saw this week. I think he's getting a little healthier. 19 carries, was it this week? He touched the ball quite a lot. I think he's somebody that you can get really cheap as an RB3 or a flex guy that you don't have to pay RB3 numbers or price for really right now. Check with the Antonio Gibson owner in your league to see if he's one of those guys that is desperate to move him because of his lack of big game production. Probably going to keep scoring. This is what he does. He just scores. I know he had a 2-touchdown game this past week, but I still think that might be the catalyst for the owner in your league to try to move him now. So go buy.
Yeah, definitely. Washington been playing better. The defense been playing better, and they just want to run the football. 24 touches in week 10. and then 19 touches last week. And like you said, his schedule does get a bit easier moving here on out. Yeah, so I like looking at Gibson and Hunt is always, you're always looking to get Hunt. So yeah.
Always. How about a couple of wide receivers here? One, DeAndre Hopkins. I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Missed 3 weeks now. He's got a bye week this week. I think he's a guy that you can go get for the home stretch. He wasn't even looking that good prior to his injury, at least not on the production line. So use the stat lines, use the injuries, use the bye week. See if you can buy him cheap. Right now, these players that have late bye weeks specifically, the Nook owner in your league might be desperate to get a win every single week. So use that to your advantage. Say, look, I know he's on bye. I'll give you a guy that you can play this week that'll help your team this week if you give me this guy that maybe I'll use later. So use that to your advantage. Go get a guy that's not going to play this week. Give that owner something that he can use right now and see if you can capitalize. Exact same reason I think you should go trade for CeeDee Lamb right now. Going to be more expensive, I think, than DeAndre Hopkins, which sounds crazy, but worth it. CeeDee has got the easiest schedule of any wide receiver group moving forward. So go buy him while he's not playing. Again, tell the owner, hey, I've got somebody you can use to win this week, maybe the next 2 weeks. I just need CeeDee for the playoffs and see if you can get something done.
I can dig it. Another player I like, Rashad Bateman. I think he's due for his big breakout game eventually. Ever since he's came back, he's been targeted in a number amount of games. Hollywood is not healthy right now. So I think a decent game from Bateman is coming, and you can trade for him cheaply, and you should outplay whatever you trade for him.
All right, I've got a handful of schedules stuff here. These are guys that have really easy fantasy football playoff schedules that you should go to look to get. Dalvin Cook has the best running back schedule there is in the fantasy playoffs. He's expensive because he's Dalvin Cook. I think you should pay whatever you need to pay to get him. Find somebody, and I'll tell you who's got tough schedules later, but trade somebody away who's got a tough schedule but is of the same caliber for somebody with an easy schedule. We saw what happened last year with David Montgomery. Give him an easy schedule, and he might go off. Darrell Henderson, another guy, really easy running back schedule moving forward. He's not as expensive if you don't want to pay out for Dalvin Cook, but somebody that you should put on your roster. Hope that he stays on the field. Might do some good things for you. 3 wide receiver groups that have the nicest schedules for wide receivers. Pick your guy on this list and go after him. Tampa Bay Bucks, easiest schedule for wide receivers in the fantasy playoffs. The Miami Dolphins, we talked about Devonta Parker a minute ago. Waddle's probably too expensive. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Chase Claypool, a name we've said several times in this segment of the show previously. Deontay Johnson, even a guy like James Washington might be worth taking a look at because of the easy schedules we got going forward. Tons of guys in there that you can go look for to improve your team for that playoff run. Any of those teams, players, or whatever that really strikes your fancy that you think, hey, if I'm getting one guy, it's that guy.
Yeah, I love it. Claypool, he's gaining a little traction, but the owner may be disappointed in Claypool and may take, something cheaper for him. So I love throwing Claypool in there for sure. Nice.
All right, we'll do some trade bait, guys. Guys, you can trade away to get some of those players that have those easy schedules and that will win you your playoffs. How about James Conner? I said it a couple of weeks ago. Please trade this guy away. This schedule's no good. He's got Chase Edmonds coming back. Disappointing week last week. On bye this week. Kyler Murray's coming back. You may not get much for him, but he is the leading, or he was. Is he still the leading touchdown scorer of all running backs in the league? I don't know.
Close to it, at least.
For fucking Jonathan Taylor. I think if you can get anything for Conner, get it. Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, both wide receivers that I think you should trade away to get something for now. McLaurin had a really good game, looked really good on the field. Go trade him away, get yourself a piece that is hitting now. Like Adam Thielen's just kind of falling off. It's time to move on from him.
I think you're hitting him, but I think with McLaurin, I feel a separate with him because target share, he's just going to get a lot of volume, and that's going to dress it up real nice for him. So I don't think he's completely dead in the water with tough matchups. But definitely Thielen, though. He's been really touchdown dependent all season. If you take away his touchdowns, you wouldn't be starting him at all.
Yeah. How about two wide receivers on the same team that I think you should trade away? And interestingly, it's because of their performance this past week that I think you should do it. It's the two 49ers wide receivers, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Ayuk in the best possible situation, 7 for 7, 85 and a touchdown. It's a pretty good game. I don't think it's going to get much better than that for Ayuk moving forward. So go ahead and see if you can move him off of that performance or even off of his increased usage over the past couple of weeks. Deebo Samuel, we knew that his usage was going to take a hit after Ayuk started playing, after Kittle got on the field. Kittle's starting to get healthier and healthier. In this game, I think he had 2 catches, right, for 9 yards or something stupid. Fortunately, 79 yards rushing. So he had some production this week. Some of these running backs, Eli Mitchell's going to be coming back, which means those carries are going to start going back to him. Jeff Wilson's getting a little healthier. They will still give the ball to Deebo Samuel in a few different ways. But look, man, if he's losing his target share to some of these other guys that are finally coming on the team, he's not going to maintain the rushing share. Trade him now, and I still think you can get quite a lot for Deebo Samuel. And he will, I think, disappoint moving into and through the fantasy playoffs.
I'm kind of in between there. I just think last week Mitchell wasn't there, so he played more of the running back role. So they gave Ayuk the number 1 wide receiver role. I think I just don't see Deebo. He's been a playmaker all year. He's been the best thing on the offense all year, and they just throw it to Kittle. And Deebo's been doing a lot more with the football than Kittle. I think Deebo is safe.
Yeah, I think he's a better option to trade away now. 2 more guys that I think you should get rid of. DJ Moore, right? I mean, he's been fucking terrible. Pretty much touchdown or bust all season. And yes, Cam Newton gave him a touchdown pass this week, but that just is not going to happen on a regular basis. Darren Waller, also a guy that you should get rid of. His targets have been really nice all season, but they're not translating to production. He's at or near 10 targets in every game all year, but he's I don't know where he's at, tight end 15 or something right now.
No, I believe he's still top 10.
Make a move, get rid of him, get him off your roster. Here's some guys, 3 running backs and a handful of receiver groups that have really tough, like really fucking tough playoff schedule. So if you're looking to get Dalvin Cook, if you're looking to get a guy like Mike Evans or some of those guys with easy schedules moving forward, here's who you use to get them. Austin Eckler has a fucking terrible schedule moving forward, and he is absolutely a heads-up trade with Dalvin Cook value. I think you can make that trade now, especially after last week, maybe even get a little extra piece. I think you should do it. Leonard Fournette, very difficult schedule. Josh Jacobs has the hardest schedule of any running back you can imagine in the fantasy playoffs. Trade him away. His production hasn't been quite there, so you're not going to get as much for him, but trade him away before he absolutely disappears. And then 4 wide receiver groups that have difficult schedules, but pieces that you can move and get some value out of. Rams have a really tough go. If you still have Cooper Kupp on your team, you should have traded him already. It's time to trade him now. There's nobody else there anymore with Robert Woods down. Buffalo, Stephon Diggs is a trade bait guy, I think. Baltimore, if I've got Hollywood's maybe nothing, but if I've got Rashad Bateman, I'm looking to shop Rashad Bateman right now on the potential just because I don't see it. And Cincinnati's got a really tough schedule as well. I don't know that I'd trade Jamar Chase. Guys like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd after a nice week last week, maybe trade him away. And you know what? Jamar Chase too, to be honest. If I can trade Jamar Chase and pick myself up Darrell Henderson and Mike Evans, I'm going to make that move, and I'm going to take advantage of the schedules in the fantasy playoffs to win my championship.
If some of those names are some Hollywood names right now, but if I can get some value back, I see what you're saying. I like it. I just Stephon Diggs. Some people that are getting double-digit targets every game. It's hard for me to trade those type players like Stephon Diggs or But I get what you're saying.
Look, if you wait until they slip, then you've waited too long. Trade them when they're playing well. Trade them when they're not facing, the toughest pass defenses in the league, and you will reap the benefits. If you trade them away, remember, we've said this before, all we can do is play the probabilities, right? Like, we may trade away Stephon Diggs knowing that it's less likely that he'll continue to produce the way he's produced previously just because of who he's playing against. Great. If he goes out and has a 40-point production, a 40-point game, like, that wasn't the most likely thing to happen. All you can do is play the probabilities. Probability says even these studs, when they face up these really tough matchups, it's going to be harder for them to produce the way they have been. So take advantage. Go get somebody who's got a cush matchup. And you're just increasing the likelihood that they'll boom for you and you'll win it all.
I can dig it. Well, that wraps up the show. Happy birthday to you. I hope you enjoy it. Have fun. Have a blast with the kids and the family, man. It's your day. You got anything else for the people?
That's it, man. I'm fucking 40. I'm old. My back hurts. But, life is good. And the fact that we get to get on here and talk about fantasy football for a while in the middle of a work day, my bosses have been texting me for a while now. It's a blessing, man. Life is amazing. My life better than most. I don't know how I did it. This is great life. Right. Good luck.
Enjoy life. Check in with us so we can help you win your fantasy football league so you can have some money to buy your family presents for Christmas. For that, man, we're going to head out with the outro.
Yeah, fantasy.